as I was trying to like do everything, so I took it off. Not to say I can't put it back on, but that's where I'm at right now. Today I just wanted to do kind of like a whisper ramble, like a life update. I have exciting news that anybody who's been watching me like literally since the beginning, which was not that long ago, will know that this is very exciting. I'll let you guess what it is. And I'll give you a hint. You guessed it. I got my driver's license. Finally. So, this has been a whole thing, a whole journey. My neck looks weird, but it's just my hair. So basic, my hair looks weird. Anyway, I, kind of waited a little bit to get my permit, not even really. I got my permit when I was like 15 and a half, which was still like a little bit late, I guess, for like some people, like where I live, you can start driver's ed when you're 14 and a half. And then, like, as soon as you finish driver's ed, you can have your permit. So, once you turn 14 and a half, you can take driver's ed, where you learn, like, the basics. You learn, like, what all of the signs mean, you know. You learn, like, what to do at like, a four-way stop. You learn, like, what, you know, all the, like, road rules. Just kind of, like, in a classroom format, like, the way that you would do, like, schoolwork. And then you take a permit test, which is all just written, like, you go to the DMV, they sit you in front of this computer, and it's like 20 questions or something just about what does this sign mean, what do you do in this, you know, scenario, like, if you find yourself in this situation, like, you know, just making sure that you know the basics of the road, and if you pass that, you get a permit. So basically, your permit just says you're allowed to drive with, like, your parent or your guardian, like, between certain hours. I think you, like, can't, I don't know, there's, like, some weird rules and stipulations and stuff with that, but that's what happens when you get your permit. So, I got my permit when I was, like, 15 and a half, I'm pretty sure. And I waited way too long to even, like, entertain the idea of going to take my road test. So what would usually happen after you get your permit is you are supposed to get like 50 hours driving before you take your road test. Now, this 50 hours could come from two different things, a mix of the two. Usually, what you usually do is you enroll in behind the wheel, which is like actual driving lessons with a driving instructor in a car. Usually there are like 2 or 3 other people, like other students with you in the car, and you all go out driving with like an instructor who, you know, gives you like tips, tells you what you're doing good, tells you what you're doing wrong, just gets you some practice behind the wheel, in sort of like a controlled environment where like your instructor has a emergency brake on their side, just, you know, in case something happens, so the kids don't just like go rogue with a bunch of other kids in the car. Now, I never did behind the wheel. This was for a bunch of different reasons. I was super just anxious about like driving with other people, like in general, but especially like people I didn't know. And like the thing that people typically do, at least where I live, is there is a program you can go through, like through the school, through the high school, where they will like excuse you from a study hall or a specific class or like our like flex period, and you go do behind the wheel during like literally in the middle of school. And I just had so much going on during the school year. I was like, when am I even supposed to do this? Like, it was stressing me out more thinking about like missing any part of my school day to go do that. And then I had extracurriculars in the afternoon, and there was just no like good time for me to do behind the wheel at school. The other reason was that driver's ed, driver's ed too, but like behind the wheel is really expensive. Like, I understand that there's like liability and stuff, and it's like this big thing to learn, but like, it makes it feel like driving is such a privilege. Like, you need to have money to know how to drive or something. Like, it's genuinely, I think it's like $500 where I live. At least like the programs that I was looking at, like up like around $500 just for me to learn how to drive. Like, I'm not like, and I guess I was sort of under the impression that like I was gonna have to pay for it, because the way that like my parents were telling my sisters that, like, my sisters are pretty close in age to me, but they were telling them that they were gonna have to pay for it. So I was like, okay, so do I have to pay for my behind the wheel? Because if that's the case, what if I just straight up don't do it? So I didn't do it. I drove with my parents. My parents are split up, so they live like half an hour, 45 minutes away from each other. So I would drive, there and back all the time, and that got me like a decent amount of hours. I mean, I stopped logging hours after like 10 hours. Like, not for any particular reason, it's just hard to track, like, every specific drive, and like, I don't know, I just lost track of it really fast. So, but yeah, I just didn't like find any, like, the other thing too was like for a really long time, I just didn't feel that like that crazy desire to drive that I feel like a lot of teenagers get. Like, it seems like in movies, the kids are just dreaming for the day they turn 16, where they're like, yes, I can finally get my license, and I can go get a car, and I can go drive wherever I want. Like, living in a small town kind of takes a lot of that away. At least for me it did. And like all through high school, I was so close to everything I needed to get to. Like, I could walk anywhere, anywhere I needed to go, which like was like school, the library, my friend's house occasionally, and like my job. Like, well, I didn't even get my job until I was out of high school, but like, the places that I needed to go were right in walking distance. I never needed a car. Like, some of my friends were getting cars, which meant that like I could just go hang out with them when they wanted to pick me up and take me places. Like, but I never felt that really strong like pull to get my license. So it was just never like on the top of the priorities list for me. But then, so yeah, anyway, that was all kind of like the last couple years, like 2.5 years. Wait, how old am I? Yeah, like 2.5, 3 years. So then, all of a sudden, my permit expired, which was never an issue I thought I'd have to deal with, but it became very, very annoying very fast. Just random things where I would need an ID, or it would be like to do stuff, you know, you need your driver's license to register, or you need your driver's license to like get this other thing, and what can you do with an expired permit? Like your expired temps, like there's not really anything you can do with that. So that made things challenging very quickly. And so with that in mind, I was like, okay, I'm gonna lock in. Like, I need to just take my driving test at some point. My upstairs neighbor is being really loud right now for literally no reason at all. So I scheduled my first road test for, I think it was like the first week of February. So I scheduled my first road test for, I think it was the first week of February. And like the weeks leading up to that, I was basically driving everywhere. I was like watching YouTube videos on like driving tips and things to prepare you for your road test and all the things. Like, I was locked in. But I didn't get enough practice, like in like long term, because I had been driving when I first got my permit, and then there was like a really big gap between then and when I was like the weeks leading up to me taking my test, when I was I started driving around then again. So there was this giant gap where it was like, I obviously remembered the basics, but I was like out of practice, and you could tell. And the driving instructor could tell when I took my test, and I failed my first road test. And that was probably as sad as it sounds, that was one of the hardest things for me to go through. Like, at least just for like my self-esteem, because I have always been like really good at things, and to like fail a test of any kind is like a personal failure to me, and it's like, it was really hard for me to get over that. And I had to do a lot of like, you know, reflecting and literally talking to my therapist about it, and eventually I came to terms with things, and I was like, it's not the end of the world. A lot of people fail their first test. It's like, it's not a like, you know, end all be all kind of thing. Am I using that correctly? I don't even know. But I finally, like, the good thing that came out of me failing was that I was at the DMV anyway, and so I renewed my permit, and I knew that at least that would get me by for a little bit, because it was better than an expired permit. So, you know, silver linings, I guess. So yeah, I renewed my permit. I like kind of locked in after that and was like, okay, I'm gonna drive more. I'm going to like pay attention in the car when other people are driving. And it's gonna be fun. And I did just that, and I rescheduled my road test for like this, I think it was like March 20th or something. There's no way it's been a month already though. No, I legitimately think it was April 20th, and it's the 1st of May, so it hasn't even been that long. So I'm still kind of riding the high, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's April 20th. It was a Monday. I rescheduled my permit test for then. It was like the earliest I could get in. But anyway, that's what matters. Especially considering, like, the big things that he pointed out are things that I really never do when I'm driving. Like, I told him this, even, like, while I was there, the thing that he commented on specifically when we were, like, parked in the DMV, and I really hope that the audio still works. I had to, like, shift myself around because my rib was starting to hurt. Where did I leave off? Oh yeah, the thing that my instructor, like, pointed out when we were done with the test was he was like, firstly, you're stopping on top of the line at a stop sign instead of behind it, and there were a couple of times that you didn't do a full stop, you kind of did a rolling stop, and I was like, you know, that's really funny because anytime I'm practicing with my mom, she's like yelling at me for stopping too early, and I had a really hard time like stopping way before the line for a long time, and I was like, I think I just overcorrected because I was nervous, and he was like, yeah, no, that makes sense, like, the more you practice, the more you'll get a hang of it, and I'm sure you'll be fine, like, and I've been driving a lot more, and I'm expected to, like, get a car in the next week or so, which is very exciting, and, overall, I'm just really stoked, and, it's been a really good learning opportunity for me to just sort of understand that failure is good for you, and it teaches you really important lessons, and, if you never try, you'll never know, and I think it's better to try and fail than to never try, and just kind of sit in the what if. That's like the worst possible stage you can be in, is like the just what if this, what if that, like, it's horrible. So, life lesson, just do the things. I think that everybody has the capacity to, like, I don't know where I was going with that, but anyway, that's my, like, life update, I guess, that I passed my driving test, and I just wanted to talk about it a little bit because it's something that I've talked about quite a few times on this channel, and, it's a big moment for me, which is, yeah, I just want to share it with you guys, so, I think I'm just gonna stop it right there. I have to work in the morning, so I'm a little tired and I want to go to bed, but thank you so much for watching. I know that apparently you guys don't really like this, like, setup, because the other videos I did horribly, but all my videos have been doing horribly recently, so I don't really know what's up with that. Whatever. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys have a good night, or a good day, whatever it may be. I would be very, very appreciative if you would like the video. Maybe subscribe, definitely leave a comment. I love reading your guys' comments. Even just little stuff really brightens my day. You have no idea. So, if you want to leave comments, that'd be so sweet.